Hi, welcome back to our channel. In this video, we have Cricket on September 13th at around 10 p.m. I believed that she was fairly close to foaling, and I wanted to talk through some of those signs with you all. So here you can see her udder. She is dripping white milk. You can see that it's dripped down her legs a little bit. The color of the milk is a fantastic indicator of when they may foal. Usually when it turns white like that, it'll be within 48 hours. Another sign that she had earlier in the day was she had what we call wax on her teats, and that's just when the milk begins to dry at the end of the nipple. Now, she's also rubbing her tail head, which is a good sign that there's some discomfort in her back end. And if you look at her vulva, it is long. Her whole back end is relaxed. It's easy to move her tail. Her hindquarters don't look overly sunken in like some mares do, but Cricket has always had a really strong, round back end. So upon noticing some of these signs, I did decide to go ahead and lock her by herself in the round pen overnight. And I know some people are thinking, why the round pen? Well, she has her hay, she has her water, I have some straw to spread out, but I like for them to have room to pace around as they're in labor. The other horses are right there within her view, so she has a little bit of privacy to herself, but she doesn't feel too isolated from the others. This is our first check of the night. And depending on how close a mare appears to foaling, I really like checking on them. If I think they've got a while, like I think she does, then I may check on them every 3 hours. If I think they're really close, I may check on them every hour and a half. So it is now 1:30. You can see that I dragged my little plastic chair out here so that I could really sit and watch her for a while and see if she's showing any signs of labor. But she's really just standing here eating fairly comfortably. So I don't know for sure that it's going to be tonight at this point. I would feel comfortable going back inside for a while. So it is now 10:30 p.m. on September 14th. I did allow Cricket to go out during the day with the other horses, just because mares do not normally foal during the day. It's not common, but it can happen. But I was also here to keep an eye on her, so I felt comfortable doing so. So she's been doing a lot of pawing around. She's been doing some straining and stretching. One thing that mares do when their contractions start is they do pass a lot of manure. So that's a sign that I look for. She's been doing so. And then right here, this first little gush is the beginning of her water breaking right there. So I wanted to go back and get a better look at what was going on in her hind end. And you'll see that I'm just a little bit hesitant. I'm trying to hang back a little bit. I'm seeing if she's okay with me being back there before I just come charging in with this bright light. Some mares are okay with this, many are not. Cricket is a horse that I raised. I watched her birth, so she is fairly comfortable with me. But I'm still trying to be quiet and keep my distance when I can. I'm just seeing what she'll allow me to do at this point. So this is a really, really good sign that she is about to do some serious pushing. She is very uncomfortable. She's just laid down. Right there, her tail going up like that, you can tell that she's having a contraction. A fairly hard contraction. And this is where she really starts her pushing. So this part of the video, I'm going to go ahead and speed up a little bit, just because this is not a quick process, especially in the beginning here. Progress is really slow. It takes some pretty strong contractions to really get things going, which she's just starting to experience. And she's just learning to push with them. So the first thing that I would like to see when she's pushing and making progress is those 2 front feet. So the foal's front feet are going to come out first, hopefully followed by the foal's nose, and then the rest of the head. The foal should come out in what they call diving position. It is the easiest way for them to make their way out smoothly, and if they are not in that position, it's called a breached birth. So right here, I'm staring intently. I see at least 1 foot right there. And it's not abnormal for them to have 1 front foot just ever so slightly in front of the other, so I'm not overly concerned at this point that I just see the 1 foot. So right here, she's getting a good break in between contractions. And I like that she's nice and quiet right here. Oh, now we've got another one coming. She's getting uncomfortable. Oh, good. And so right there, you can see that second front hoof pop out. So I really, really am happy with her progress at this point. Now we're just looking for that little nose and the rest of that foal's head to come out. And that's going to take quite a few more pushes to get to that point. Those front legs are pretty long. So like I said, this is a slow process, but there are some time constraints. Ideally, this stage of active labor, so active labor is from the time the water breaks, from the time the foal emerges completely. That whole process should never last longer than 30 minutes, ideally. If it does, then you may be looking at a breached birth at that point. At this point in our video, I believe she's about 10 minutes into this process. So even though you may be holding your breath right now, this is actually going fairly quickly and smoothly. So this is the slowest part of delivery right here. Passing the head and the shoulders, some of those first wider parts of the foal are fairly difficult. So even though it is normal for things to take this long, it's just, I hold my breath every time. It's a little bit hard to watch. But while we have a minute, I wanted to go ahead and talk about the time constraints that I like to see on the stages following this. So, like I said, this process should last about 30 minutes or less, ideally. Once that foal is born, you want them up on their feet within an hour. And then, ideally, they are nursing, and you want to make sure, if you can be hands-on, that they look like they're latching fairly well. Within 2 hours of delivery. And then after the 3-hour mark, it's important that that mare passes her placenta, or you're risking infection. One thing that I really like to do after they pass their placenta is check it. You can see the amniotic sac and the placenta. There should just be one obvious hole where that foal broke through. So if you are there when your mare passes her placenta and you know that, nothing has gotten a hold of it yet, the barn cats and dogs haven't touched it, the mare hasn't touched it, ideally right when it comes out, go ahead and grab it and make sure that you see one obvious hole. If it already appears to be a little torn and tattered at that point, then it's extremely important that you contact your vet and have them come out quickly or haul your mare in quickly to have her flushed, because if there is any tissue left behind in that mare, you are risking significant infection, and you do not want to be at risk of losing that mare. So right here, she is starting to pass the foal's head. And this progress is always slower than I like to see. This is where things start to speed up a little bit. But being squeezed a little bit as those foals are going through the birth canal is actually really important. It helps squeeze some of that fluid out of their lungs. So right here, things are really starting to speed up a little bit. There comes that baby. And I can see that this foal is lively and struggling a little bit. I want to make sure that it can breathe well. So I fold this back and just make sure that I can feel it, trying to breathe. So I'd slowed that part down a little bit for my viewers. But this part I'm going to go ahead and speed up a little bit again. Mom's just taking a long break right here. I know it looks concerning, but it is normal. And this foal's getting a minute to adjust. That hind leg is still inside of her. But like I said, this is normal. I am not at all alarmed at this point. I love to see a lively baby that's alert, and she's already trying to get upright. And I guess, spoiler alert, it is a filly. This is a sorrel filly. Her only white marking is that blaze. I love this first hello between mama and baby. And this part right here is just perfect. It's exactly what you want to see. A baby that's trying to move and a mom that's very interested in her. I don't expect the foal to actually attempt to stand anytime in these first few minutes. But I love that, she's scooting closer and closer to mom's head. And this is a moment that I definitely like mares and foals to have together. I don't want to interfere during this part. Unless there's something wrong with the mare, or if there's something wrong with the baby and that mare gets concerned, then I may step in. But in a normal, healthy delivery like this, I love to just sit back and watch them interact for the first time. This is Cricket's first foal, and it is actually her birthday. So they are going to share a birthday of September 14th. Cricket is 5 today, and I just love her instincts as a first-time mom. I could tell. I thought she was going to be a good mother, but at this point, I'm certain. And at this point, I'm kicking myself because these are this filly's first steps, but I did not get her attempt at standing this time around on video. She'd had quite a few attempts before this, and I didn't feel the need to film every single one. But this filly is upright and on her feet within that first hour. And, you can still see the birth membranes hanging off of Cricket. And that's normal. If she starts to drag them around for too long, you can tie a knot in them. That way there's no risk of her stepping on them, and it kind of helps add some weight to it to kind of pull that placenta out, but I'm not concerned. So I am fast forwarding a bit to this 3-hour mark. Cricket has passed her placenta. This foal has figured out where to get that milk. For the most part, Cricket still has to show her, but she has latched and nursed well numerous times at this point. So I'm really happy to see that. At this point, I would feel comfortable going inside and going back to sleep and knowing that they're going to be just fine till morning. And I would count on seeing more videos of this filly in the future. I am really bad about wanting to hold on to horses, but I would like to say that this filly is going to be a keeper. So please stay tuned to our channel, and as always, thank you so much for watching.